Hello, everybody. This is Dave with the Compass Options live trading room. And I'm going to do a video tonight called the Top Gun Method. What this is going to be is most everybody here is familiar with the Compass system and how we use the Compass system to find the highest probability trade setups. What we're going to do is we're going to find some high probability trade setups. Then we're going to move on to using another program that I use, TC2000. Which I use for my technical analysis above and beyond the Compass system and the Dominator system. And then I'm going to go through the steps that I take to try to find these very high probability trades, the ones that will make those the best trades to take. And I'm going to do it with some live charts. So we're just going to go to the Compass system and look at the scan, and we'll take some scans off of TC2000, and then we'll look at the Compass system and the TC2000 system. And see how we find these high probability trade setups. So again, this is a Top Gun method. Again, you're good finding the high probability trade setups. This is going to make you better. And first I have to do the disclaimer. All the signals and trading opportunities here that we provide are for educational and demonstration purposes only. Trading is risky, so you should never trade with more money than you can afford to lose. And neither myself or Right Line Trading are licensed financial advisors, so we won't be giving financial advice. All right, so let's move along here. There's the Top Gun jet right there. I'm sure lots of folks have seen Top Gun. And again, the Top Gun is a place where they take great pilots and make them better. And what this is meant to do is take folks who are great at finding high probability trade setups and make you better. So there we go, heading up. Okay, so let's just go over the basics of the high probability trade setups and entry criteria that we use using the Compass system and some basic technical analysis. Two of the things we need initially is on the Compass system, we need to have the modified Laguerre or the momentum indicator for the current time frame. It needs to match the trade direction. So if we're going long, we need to be blue or green, and if we're going short, it needs to be red or yellow. And we additionally need the modified Laguerre for multi-time frame. We have current time frame. This is the multi-time frame. And it also needs to match the direction. So you would need blue or green for the current time frame, blue or green for the multi-time frame. They need to be the same colors. And we would be looking at dominator signals and background color as well. Dominator system tells us what the market internals are. So we will know if there's a lot more stocks moving up on up volume and upticks than are moving down on down volume and downticks, and vice versa. A lot of times they're fairly even, and the dominator system will not give us any buy signals or sell signals. But when there is a buy signal on the Compass system, and we've got a buy signal on the dominator system, and we have a buy signal on the Compass system, that gives you a higher probability, because you've got the market in your favor and you've got the Compass system in your favor, or basically the institutions. Another key here is we want to buy at support and sell at resistance. So when we enter a trade, we want to be buying somewhere near support, which would be like the VWAP or the 15 EMA, dynamic compression, some support or resistance level that's significant that's on your chart. We'll also take a look at Heikin-Achi reversal candles for reversals. If we're looking for a bounce, for example, off the VWAP, if we go to a Heikin-Achi candle setup, when that Heikin-Achi candle produces a Heikin-Achi reversal, which I cover in a video on Heikin-Achi candles and how we use them, but that's going to give you a confirmation that the reversal has taken place. And we're also looking for a breakout in the same direction as the stock's current trend. So we're only going to be taking stocks long that are green for the day, and we would only be taking them to the upside. And so if the stock's bullish for the day and moving up, we're going to go long. If it's been bearish for the day and going down, we're going to go short. And also we want to join the current market trend if we can. In other words, if this market's going down for the day or trending down, we want to focus on mostly shorts. And if it's going up for the day, we want to focus on mostly longs. And we also want to take a look at stocks that have what's called relative strength or relative weakness versus a SPY. And that's not RSI. That means relative strength versus the SPY. So if the SPY is going up 0.5%, and you get a stock that's going up 1%, then it's outperforming the SPY. And so you want to take those stocks with relative strength and relative weakness because they're going to give you more cushion on the trade. If you go long a stock and the SPY, which has been bullish, all of a sudden reverses, stocks that have relative strength are not going to pull back as fast or as much as the SPY does. That's going to give you a good chance to get out of the trade. Now, this is a key thing right here. The daily chart must match the trade direction of the 5-minute chart. So when you're looking at a stock, you've got to look at the daily chart to make sure the daily chart is bullish and the 5-minute chart is bullish. You want both of those to be the same. And what this negates is taking stocks that are coming off a bottom if they're bearish and trying to pick a bottom or picking a top to go short and picking a bottom to go long, because you want to be in the trend and you want the daily chart to also match your 5-minute chart. So those both should be either bullish or bearish. And if you get a pop out of the box signal, that's going to add conviction to the trade. And the pop out of the box signals on the compass system, I'm sure you're aware, they're arrows that tell you when a stock is breaking up above compression or below compression. And the key thing, as we know, is have patience. Waiting for a compression break is going to reduce the risk substantially. So these are the criteria that we look at technically and with the compass system, looking for institutional involvement in trades. We're only going to take stocks that have institutional involvement, and those are going to be measured by the momentum, basically the current time frame Laguerre and the multi-time frame Laguerre. We also take a look at the quant line. All right, so that's how we find the trades, and we'll look for some of those. Now, finding the best of the highest probability trade setups we're going to dive into this a little deeper now. The first thing we want to look at is when we're looking at stocks that we like, we want to take a look at the best daily chart. Now, what does the best daily chart look like? Well, you want to be able to look at the trend with your eyes. Just want to look at the candlestick pattern and be able to basically predict where you think this is going to go. It's not chopping around. It's not big huge wicks and big huge tails. It's got a nice predictable trend, and you can see that. You also want to be, you don't want any nearby support or resistance close by. So you need to know where your daily support and daily resistance is, which would be major moving averages, the algo lines, horizontal support and resistance, and compression breaks. You want to know where all these are. So when you look at the daily chart, you can see how much upside you've got, or how much downside you've got before you hit these support or resistance levels. That will tell you whether your risk reward is worth it or not. And we also will be looking for potential gap fills. We've traded quite a few gap fills recently, and that's another nice criteria that we want to use for finding the highest probability trade setups. So we'll be looking for potential gap fills on the daily chart. And again, you want to see what your upside and downside potential for max gains is, and that's where your support and resistance levels comes in. If you get into a stock that's trading at $105 and it's got a resistance level at $107, you only get $2 to the upside. It's not worth taking a risk on a trade like that. Whereas if you get in at 100 and you find that the next resistance level is 120, now you've got a nice upside distance to that resistance level. That's going to give you plenty of room. And also, you always want to be aware of upcoming earnings dates. Upcoming earnings dates is important. You don't want to be holding option trades over earnings. So you've got to know how much time there is to earnings, and make sure you get out of the trade before that. Now, we're also going to look, now we see the best daily chart, we're also going to look for the best 5-minute chart. We find a really nice daily chart, then we look at the 5-minute chart, and it's the same thing again. Most predictable trend. Can we find a nice 5-minute chart that's been trending up or down, for the last couple of hours? Does it look very predictable? Where's the nearby support and resistance on the 5-minute chart, such as the VWAP or the pivot points? These are really important because you really want to be getting in to a trade to the upside as it breaks above the VWAP or breaks above a dynamic compression zone. And same thing to the downside. So you've got to know where your nearby support and resistance is on the 5-minute chart. And again, so you're looking at the upside and downside potential for maximum gains on the 5-minute chart as well. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the daily chart and then the 5-minute chart, and we're looking for the same type of setups on both of those. Okay, so this is I'm going to show a couple of charts here. Then we're going to go to some live charts. This is ABBV. This is a daily chart in ABBV. Now this is the compass system right here, and this is a candle, and you can see everything is green here. This is a bullish setup on ABBV. Very, very bullish setup. So we know on the daily chart that this looks pretty nice. I mean, it's coming off the 15 EMA here. It's got a nice big candle. It looks really good. So when we see that, we then switch over to the 5-minute chart, and then this is the 5-minute chart. I'm sorry, this is the daily chart on ABBV on TC2000. So when I see this here, then I got to look at TC2000 and see, okay, what are my support and resistance levels here on ABBV? And what I see here is these are my moving averages of 50, a 200, and 100. The blue is 100, the 200 is purple, and the red is the 50-day moving average. This ABBV has moved above all of these moving averages. It's also got an algo line here. This is an algo support line. And I'm going to do a video on how to draw those. And this is an algo resistance line. You see this algo resistance line coming down from here to here. And to see how the stock broke through that algo resistance line. That's a breakout of algo resistance. And that tells us that the stock is breaking out. This is a good long setup. So that gives me a good feel. And this is my next resistance up here at about $168 from 158. So I get about $10 upside here. That's plenty. That's a good little move there. Now here's one QSR, and again, all green, bullish, daily chart right here. This is a daily chart, nice and bullish setup, and you can see it's breaking out. So then we take a look here. This is the 5-minute chart on Compass. So we know that on the daily chart, it's bullish on the daily. Okay, so now we're looking for maybe an entry onto the QSR. Where do we find that? Well, we look in here and we see the stock is moving sideways. We see the current time frame momentum right down here is switching colors, yellow, red, blue, yellow. But notice it goes green here, and already the multi-time frame is already green. But here's the key here. You see how the stock is running along this little green line here. That's the 15 EMA. So the stock is running right along that, and we get a pop out of the box signal here, and we get a pop out of the box signal here. Either one is where you could take that trade as the stock bounces off there. I think this is where I actually get in on this. And then you can see that it's moving up nicely from there until here, which we take profits. But that's an entry, and you see how it's all green? There's the daily all green. And so that's what I'm looking for. And then I would look at the TC2000 chart, which we're going to do here in a minute. All right, so just to recap here, as far as the very highest probability trade setups, you want the Compass system to be obviously indicating that the institutions are in there buying. So the Compass system has to be especially on your momentum indicators, current time frame, multi-time frame. They've got to be all green or blue or all red or yellow. That's gonna tell you that you've got a bullish or a institutional buying going on. Now, when you have that, you're also going to take a look at the dominator system. And if the dominator system has a green background for longs, in other words, the background on the Ninja platform with dominator is green, and it's got a buy signal, that tells you that the market internals are also in your favor. So if you've got the Compass system with institutions in your favor and the dominator system in your favor, that's a really, really high probability setup. And of course, it's exactly the opposite of bearish. But this tells you when you get into a trade like this, it's possible to take larger trade size because you've got all these things working in your favor, and it's possible to stay in the trades longer. Now, one caveat about this is to stay in the trades longer and take larger trade size, you really do need a trending market. The market for that whole day needs to be trending to the up or to the downside because the market is extremely important. The market is probably the most important thing that you want to be focused on. So if the market is giving you a trend in one direction, that's going to help you a lot. If you've got a choppy market, then even your high probability trades you're going to want to get out fairly quickly because you don't have any market to support you. And so that's when you look at the Compass and Dominator, that's what you want. You want them lined up to be either bullish or bearish on both of those situations. Now, if the Dominator is not bullish or bearish, but it's just neutral, then you're going to focus on the Compass system alone and look for the highest probability trade setups, looking for stocks that are the highest probability trade that have institutional buying or selling in them. And the best entries for trades when the dominator is lined is same as it is when it isn't lined up. Bounce off the 15 EMA, bounce off the VWAP, bounce off of those white pivot lines we've got, and break out of dynamic compression zones. These are some of the key things that we look for. It's buy at support and sell at resistance. That's what that is. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at some current live charts. and for the Compass and for TC2000 to look at what distinguishes the very best high probability trade setup. And this is going to be live, so I'm going to go through these trades, these stocks, kind of on the fly here, so I can go through the actual process that I go through when I'm looking for these particular stocks. So let me just go ahead and drop this down, and let me switch over here. We'll just look at, so this is the Compass system here. I've got the ESA right now. This is the ES and the daily, but I'm gonna use the daily chart, and I'm gonna take a look at some stocks here. And I'm gonna look at this is the RLT scan. This is showing us stocks that are breaking out of compression on the daily chart. So I want to look at those first. So I look at like GLIT, and I see this gap up. See, this is on earnings. It's gapping up. You notice we've got yellow on the current time frame and green on the multi time frame. Green on the current time frame. They're not aligned. I'm not going to take something like that. It is not the highest probability trade. Now, it may turn into a high probability trades after earnings, but the likelihood is it's earnings that's causing this to go green down here. But the trend has been not to the upside, so it's just a breakout right now. So I'm not going to take a look at that one. I'm just going to kind of skip down through here, see what I can find. These are banks, which I'm not going to touch today. And here's Zillow. This is Zillow Group. And you can see Zillow Group on the daily chart. Here's the earnings here. Zillow Group has got a nice setup here with all green. So the Compass system is telling us that the institutions are buying this stock. You can see it's trying to break out here. And this is as of tonight. This is the 9th of August. So this is on the 9th of August, 2023. So let me take a look at Zillow on the TC2000 chart. See what I'm looking for over here. All right, so here's Zillow, and I'm looking at this on the pattern on Zillow, and you can see it's been in a nice uptrend. You know, moves up to resistance, comes back down, goes up, comes down. And this white line here is the 8 exponential moving average right here. And you see that it's been sloping up and then going sideways and it's sloping up. And I've got a line drawn right through here, which is a horizontal resistance line. So it's important that the stock gets through there. Now it got through here on this day here. That was on Friday. It didn't get above that on Monday. Now here's today, and you see how it's breaking, trying to break out. So what I do on something like this is the important level right here is I want this stock to get above that level right there where it peaked out on Friday. If it breaks above that level, I've got a breakout on this stock now. And if I go back and look, what have I got for resistance? Well, I got a little bit of resistance. This is going through here. My next resistance levels is way up here. All right, it's up around 65, 64. So I've got some pretty good room up there. So that's what I'm looking at. And I don't really have any algo lines that are in the way. This is a support algo line right here, sending support. And I don't have any descending lines that I can draw that they're going to get in the way here. So that's what I would like for Zillow. So I like that. And I'm looking at the volume. The volume's pretty good. Anything with a white line down here, a white histogram is a very high volume. So we've been having some decent volume in Zillow. So I like Zillow here. So that's, that'd be one to be put on my list that I'm going to be interested in. All right, so let's see what we got. HPQ. HPQ. Now here on the daily chart on HPQ, you see the problem here. We get yellow down here in the current time frame, the daily time frame, most likely because it's just kind of chopping around. All right, so it's not going to be one of my favorites. And if I look at on TC2000, which is what I did look at, I'm going to look at on the daily chart. Is it something I'm interested in? Not really. Remember I said you got to be able to look at the chart and kind of figure what directions is this stock going in. Well, if you look at this right here, let me take this line because this is an old line and it's really not effective anymore. It needs to come down there. Basically, we're just moving sideways. We've got a gap here. We haven't done the gap fill yet. The stock's just chopping around right along. You see this 8 is going sideways. It's just chopping around. There's no trend to it. So I'm not going to be interested in that based on technicals, and I'm not going to be interested in that based on the fact that the Compass system shows me that the institutions are on the current time frame, the daily time frame, are not in there yet. All right, so that's how I do it. Just go through these. And I'm going to go through a bunch of other ones here. Here's FTV. This is Fortive, right? So here's a decent looking chart. I mean, we got a earnings here. It's moving up pretty nicely. It's all green. So we've got the compass system telling us the institutions are in there. So what do I do next? Now I got to take a look at what the TC2000 chart looks like. What kind of problems do I have over here? Now, when I look at FTV and I look at this chart, remember, can you see with your eyes how this is trending? I mean, I think it's pretty easy to see. See this white 8 exponential moving average? You see how this line is just drifting up, drifting up. The stock is following it up all the way. That's a very nice uptrend. And it's above all the moving averages. The volume's been decent. And I don't really have any resistance levels up here. See how this is way up here? I probably have to go back several years to find any resistance levels, if any. So this is a nice chart. Whoops. Where'd it go? What was it? Oh, FTB. Okay, sorry about that. FTB. Okay, so there's FTB. So that's a nice chart right there. And that would be one I definitely would be interested in. And I'm going to make a note of that and see if it breaks. I'd be interested, especially if it breaks above the top of this candle right here. That's a nice long setup right there for FTB. Let's see what else we got here. SYNH. There isn't an awful lot on here tonight. Here's SYNH. We got a nice green indicators here telling us the institutions are in there buying. SYNH. So that's a decent setup. Let's see what it looks like on the TC2000 system. Well, this is what I'm going to show you. The TC2000 system tells me immediately this is a buyout. You see how this went up and just moved sideways? So what we're seeing there on the compass system is just really small moves inside of this range right here. So it's a buyout. I can tell really quickly from that it's a buyout. And you can see that there really wasn't moving at all. It's 42.17, 42.56, nothing you're gonna touch. So here's ARNC. This I can see right off the bat that this is pretty choppy. We do have all green in it. And again, I'm gonna just take a look at the SAT, and we have another buyout. Our ARNC is another buyout. So I'm not gonna mess around with that one. All right, so here let's take a look at a couple of, I'm gonna go to the best shorts, which would be the ones that are down the most, is AYX. And AYX gap down on earnings, and just kind of put in a doji down here. So I'm not really going to look at that one right now because it's earnings, and I want it to settle down a little bit after earnings. I mean, this is what the TC2000 chart looks like on AYX. You see this big gap down on this earnings, but then you see the buying coming back in again on this huge volume. So I'm not really interested in that. I don't know which way it's going to go. And let's see, TDC, this is another huge earning candle. So I'm not going to take this right off the earnings. This could sell off, continue to sell off, or it could reverse because this is one big candle on earnings today. This is another dividend stock here, EXPD. But we've got, again, mixed candles, mixed colors here. Green on the multi-time frame, red on the current time frame. Not really interested in EXPD. And if I look at the TC2000 system for that, it's gonna look pretty good for short. You can see because it's breaking down below the 50-day moving average on big volume. But again, it's coming off of earnings, and I want to wait to see where it goes. But if it continues down, that would be one I could look at. But I don't like the fact that up until today, the compass system is still telling the multi-time frame, this is for multiple days, 1 day, 3 days, 9 days. It's showing it's still bullish, which is coming off of this move up here. So I'm not going to take that one that seriously yet. And let's see what I can find here. PBH, CPB. Oh yeah, that's Campbell Soup. All right, so this Campbell Soup, and you can see Campbell Soup is very bearish. We've got yellow and red. So the institutions are in here selling. You can see the institutions are in here selling. So I like that one. Let me take a look at the TC2000 and see what I see here. All right, so here's Campbell Soup. Well, this is a pretty, obviously you can tell with your eyes how we're going here. This is gap down, it's been moving sideways, it's rolling over. So this is definitely an interesting one that'd be interesting to me for short. And it's in the consumer defensive sector, which has been very weak this week. So, but I would definitely be interested in Campbell Soup. Notice it closed at the low of the day. That's definitely one that I would be very interested in tomorrow morning on CPB. So that's, and I don't really have any support levels that I nearly need to worry about here down that far. I mean, if I look over here, I don't really have any horizontal support till down around 41.90. So for that's a lot for Campbell Soup. All right, so let me move that out of the way. Let's look at a different one. Let's see, AB. Just gonna pick at some of these randomly, so because I don't want to go through every chart. SNPS again, just went yellow. So let's take a look what SNPS looks like on the Dominator system. I mean, sorry, on the TC2000. This is a $435 stock, and it's set up pretty nicely for a short. It has earnings on 8/16, so 8/16 is pretty close. 8/16 is pretty close. This week's expiration will be the 11th, so this is falling into next week as a potential short. So you could actually take puts on this out to August the 18th, but you have to get out of it by the 16th. And again, if I take a look at this, and I'll show you what I do. I'm drawing an algo line here. I'm going to look for some algo lines and see what I see. And this is where I'm going to come from. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to take it right to here. So there's a current algo line. You see we got 3 touches here, here, and here. And then this thing broke below it. So this is an interesting short setup, SNPS. So this would be on my list for one I would want to look at tomorrow. I don't like the fact that the volume is not that great, but I definitely would be interested in this. And you can see that the compass system is telling us that we've got yellow and red, so we do have institutional selling going on in SNPS. Baxter, again, look at this chart in Baxter. Okay, you can see from the compass system that we've had some selling going on here for quite a while. Multi-time frame, current time frame, looking pretty good, and coming down out of dynamic compression. So let's immediately, I'm saying, okay, that looks pretty good. Let me take a look at the TC2000 on Baxter. Okay, so here's Baxter. Now, this is a daily chart. We don't have any earnings concerns. Here's the pattern. We had this move up and then a hard pullback, and the 8's been moving up, and now the 8 is rolling over. But notice this one candle right here today. This is what's called a hammer, and a hammer is a candle that can kind of tell you that maybe the direction is going to change. And the reason I say that is this stock is below all its moving averages, the 8's sloping down, but this sold off all the way down to the bottom of this candle today, and then it came back up and closed way up here, right? So it opened here and closed here after going all the way down to here. So this tells me that there was some buyers coming into this at the end of the day. Remember, Campbell Soup closed right on the low. When we looked at the Campbell Soup chart, it closed right at the end at the low of the day. So remember Campbell Soup, CPB. See how it's closed right near the end of the close at the very low of the day. So it's the selling continued right to the end of the day. Baxter, not so much. Baxter is sold off, and then there was buyers coming in, and it's got resistance right here at the 100-day moving average, but it's not a high probability trade setup yet because of the fact that it rallied so much toward the end of the day. Let's see, it's a cheap stock, SPWR. KHC, this is another good one. This is one I know we talked about last week. This is Kraft Heinz, another consumer defensive stock, and another one that tells us that the institutions are in there selling. You can see the selling. So how does it line up for me on KHC on the TC2000? Here it is. All right, so this is obviously rolling over pretty hard. We don't really have any support on Kraft Heinz. This is pretty far down, and this is a pretty cascading move down. The only thing you have to be concerned about here is how far we're getting away from the 8 exponential moving average to the downside. The stocks tend to revert to the mean, and they'll revert to the 8 after a while. If they get too far away, like it did down here, they'll go back up to the 8. If they get too far away to the upside, like it did here, they'll come back to the 8. So that's what you want to be careful about when you're in a stock like this. So if you're in a stock like this short tomorrow, for example, you probably just want to make a day trade out of it. You probably don't want to hold it overnight, just because of how far it's extended from the 8. But it's definitely a good short setup on KHC. And let's see, KBR, that's pretty good as well, but I don't want to go through too many of these things. All right, so that's going to do that. Now I have a few others that I had jotted down tonight, just off of my TC2000 scans that I had. And one was FTV, which we've already looked at. Another one is IBM. All right, so here, whoops. Goodness. IBM. All right, so there's IBM. So this is an IBM chart. Now remember I said the daily chart, you want to be able to look at that and look at the trend and see if you can predict what the trend is. This is a beautiful trend, and it's moving right up through, here's the 15 right here. It's moving right up along the 15. It's really not too far away. We've got really nice compass information here. We've definitely got institutions in here buying this. So what's it look like on my TC2000 chart? All right, so I make this over here to TC2000. Here's IBM. All right, so again, it's got a real nice move to the upside. Earnings not till 10/18. The 8 is sloping up and the stock is following along. You notice it got a little bit extended from the 8, and you see what it did. It didn't actually go back to the 8. It just kind of moved sideways and let the 8 catch up with it. And notice today it moved right down to the 8 and then bounced off of it. So anything above here is going to be a good long. Now this line right here, that's an algo resistance line. This is what the algos, the institutions have, or computer systems. They're looking at this particular line, this algo line. They draw all these lines in the computers, and this is an algo line that the stock has broken through yesterday and pulled back to it and trying to break through today. If that breaks above that line and then holds above that line, this is a really, really good long setup. So IBM is definitely a high probability trade setup as long as it breaks above that algo line and stays above that algo line. All right, what else have I got here? Eaton, ETN. Right, we've got an interesting move up here on Eaton. This was earnings, and now we see how it's just kind of moving sideways. And we do have a green on the current time frame and the multi-time frame. We do have red on the quants, but I'm be interested to see what this looks like on my TC2000 chart. So I come over here and I look at the TC2000 chart for ETN. Now this setup right here is kind of a bull flag on the daily. You see how we gapped up here on big volume, and then we're kind of just chopping sideways. And notice the 8's kind of moving up, the stock's kind of trying to follow it along. But this is a good setup right here. Now it did have a spike way up here to 225, which is quite a bit higher. But this is definitely a bullish setup for you. And no earnings till 11/7. So this is a nice setup on ETN for a long. All right. Let's see what else I got here. BRKB. This is Berkshire Hathaway, and this is a very nice setup on Berkshire Hathaway. You can see how green everything's green. Like the institutions are in here buying. You see this move up right here. This was an earnings candle right here. It moved up, and then today it's also very strong. So this looks pretty good. Everything shows us the institutions are in there buying. So what's it going to look like on TC2000? All right, so here's TC2000, and here's the daily chart on TC2000. This is pretty nice. This little line, the white line that I draw in here, that's from the very top of here. That's the all-time high in Berkshire Hathaway right there, top of that line. So I extend that line over here, and you see what happened yesterday. I went through it and pulled right back to it. Today it gapped down to here and then ran up through that line today, right through the all-time high, and getting ready to get past yesterday's high. This is a beautiful long setup for Berkshire Hathaway, and it's got 11/3 as earnings, so you have to anything to worry about that. This is a nice setup for long. Berkshire Hathaway, definitely a high probability trade setup. IBM, definitely a high probability trade setup. Those are like two of the best that I've seen so far for the ones we've been looking at tonight. Take another one here, URI. All right, URI is bullish. Here's your earnings. Here's your dividend. Everything's green. URI looks pretty good. It came through this dynamic compression, popped up, put in like a doji candle today. So it's interesting to me. So let's see what it looks like. All right, so here's the TC2000 chart on United Rentals. All right, so we look at the earnings. When's earnings? Not till 10:25. Is it predictable? You know, it's in an uptrend. It's definitely in an uptrend. You see the 8 just sloping up here, sloping up. Stock comes back, bounces off it, comes back, bounces off of it. And it's going above this line right here, which was a breakout line from right here. So it's trying to get through there, but it hasn't been able to really get up through there and stay above there. But I'd be interested because you notice we're getting some volume. Yesterday's today and today's volume are pretty high. So this is a potential breakout and one that I'd have on my list. I don't think it's as high a probability as Berkshire Hathaway or IBM, but it's a decent long setup. Let's see, DBX. And then I'm going to switch to a few shorts so we can look at a few shorts. Now here's DBX. See DBX? See a yellow, blue. They don't match. It looks like it's bullish, but I can't touch it. I can't touch it. So let me just see what it looks like on TC2000. All right, so here's TC2000 on DBX. And it's going to tell me a couple of things. Here's an algo line that I've drawn in this stock from way back here. And it touched there, it touched there. See how it went up and just about touched it yesterday? And then pulled back hard today. This is why if you were in this stock yesterday, you would have wanted to get out when it gets close to that algo line. This is selling at resistance. And you see, if you tried to stay in it, this is what happened to it today. And this is why the compass system is showing that we've got yellow on the current time frame, because there isn't any buying anymore. We got selling going on with DBX. So again, not a stock that you would want to trade long, and you wouldn't want to trade it short either. And let's see. All right, so I'm going to look at a couple of shorts here. We're going to look at DG. I don't want to make this video too long, but I'm hoping you're getting the idea of what I'm looking for. Again, here's DG. All right, so it's got yellow and yellow. So it's a short, potential short setup. The quants are green, but both multi-time frame and current time frame momentum are short. So it looks decent. Let me see what it looks like over here on TC2000. And let me move it over. All right, so it's TC2000. Okay, here's 8/31. So we don't have earnings till the end of the month. You can see this algo line right here. That's the algo support. This is an ascending algo support line. And it broke through it today to the downside. Here's the 50-day moving average coming down hard. See this huge gap down in Dollar General? And then the stock has been trying to move up, hit this algo resistance line here, pull back down, hit the algo support line, pull back up, broke through the algo resistance line today. The 8's sloping down. It is now below the 50-day moving average. This is a decent short setup, DG. Definitely one that I would be interested in as a short. And keep looking here. We'll try Moderna. All right, here's Moderna. All right, so obviously Moderna is selling off. I mean, it's been red or yellow here for a good long time. So Moderna is selling off pretty hard. This is a good short setup. We even took this the other day in the room, but this is a nice short setup on Moderna. And compass system is telling me absolutely that would be one I would want to be interested in. So I look over here on TC2000. Let's see what I've got here. All right, well, here's the only thing with Moderna. This is pretty nice, but I wouldn't want to stay in it too long, because see how far this is getting away from the 8? And this, by the way, is an algo support line, but it's a descending one. They're not as good as the ascending ones, because the stock can go down and touch a descending algo line and stay above the algo line, but keep going down in price because it's sloping down. But I would be more concerned about how close this is, how far away from the 8 this is. So if it shoots down tomorrow, if it opens short, no reason why you can't get it for the day and take a day trade in it. But I think I would be hesitant to hold on to something like that overnight, that far extended from the 8. All right, and what else have I got here? INSP. These just came up in a couple of my scans. TC2000. Okay, obviously we got institutional selling here. big time institutional selling. It's been selling off very, very hard. Inspire Medical Systems. So here it is over here on TC2000. What do I have to concern myself with? Well, I do have to concern myself with how far extended this is. It's really extended from the 8. Now it is below all of the moving averages. Here's the 200 right here, and it's below that. But you notice today, you see this bounce that it did today. It ran up about $9 before the end close. So I'd be a little concerned about trying to go short with that, because this is the reversion to the mean is going to be back up this way. So I probably wouldn't touch it short, because even if it breaks below here, look how far away from that 8 it's going to be. Too extended, and it's too much risk for me to take something like that. Let's see. Let's try Spotify. All right, Spotify. So now here's Spotify with a gap down, and then basically a sideways movement. You see how it's compressing in the dynamic compression zone, the shaded area, and it breaks below that, and we've got compass system telling us this is definitely the institutions right here selling Spotify. All right, so we know we got institutions selling Spotify. What's it look like on TC2000? All right, so here's TC2000. Now you can see the nice move up that it had over here, and then it got too far extended. It came back and it gapped down here on earnings. You see that big, huge volume candle right there? It gapped down and then it's tried to recover. It's been riding along this 100-day moving average for a good while, but here it's broken down. It broke down below the 100 here. It's moving down again. So I'd be interested in this as a short. Now it is a little extended, but not too bad, and it fell down at higher volume today. I definitely would like be interested in Spotify short. Definitely one that I would look at as a short, and I'd be watching it in the morning to see if it would be a good short entry. I do like Spotify right there, and I will just do one more. RRR, Red Rock earnings, big gap down, big move down today. Looks like it closed right on the low of the day. We get yellow or red, so we know we've got this thing set up for the institution selling it. So let's switch over to TC2000 and see what it looks like here. All right, so here's Red Rock Canyon over here, Red Rock Resorts. Again, this is a fairly big down move. This is a big candle here today. That's a pretty big move on it. You notice it got below the 200-day moving average yesterday, moved up above it, and then ripped down through it today pretty hard. Now it is a little extended, but it did break through the 200-day moving average, and the volume has been building. So again, I'd be interested in something like that. And let me just change this algo line. There's an algo line. It's actually becomes a resistance line that way. And let's see if I've got any algo lines that would be for shorts. I could take one here. So there is the current algo line on this. So there is your support on it. So that's kind of close. That's kind of close. So that's why I draw those. That kind of tells me that probably not going to take this. This is likely going to be a good support area on that, an ascending support line, algo support line. So I'm probably not going to would not take that just because of that. And if I didn't know that was there, I might consider it. But with that algo line there, I'm not going to take it. So anyway, that's the strategy I go through. That's how I go through the highest probability trade setups, by looking on the compass system, looking on the daily chart first, then looking on the 5-minute chart when I want to get in there. And but I know that I've got a good daily chart to support that. And I think if you do that, you'll find if you go through the steps, what's the daily chart look like? What's my support and resistance look like? Does the daily chart have institutionals buying or selling coming into it by looking at the Laguerre multi-time frame and current time frame? Okay, that looks pretty good. What's my other charting program like TC2000 look like? Where is it? Is it a choppy stock? Do we have a nice smooth move one way or the other, or is it chopping all over the place? Is there big wicks and tails? Things like that kind of negate that being a very high probability trade setup. So that's how I'm doing this. I hope this helps you find the highest probability trades, and as opposed to just using the compass system, once you found it on the Compass system, let's look at some other things to make sure that that's going to be the best trade of the ones that we can find. So that's how I do that. So I hope you find this helpful. I hope that this Top Gun video going into more detail and finding higher probability trade setups will help you, and I'll be happy to get any feedback from you in the room. This should be coming out to you in the next day or two, and you can just watch it as many times as you want. And if you have any questions on it when you get it, just go ahead and ask me in the room. So then, thank you very much for watching the Top Gun video. I think that you'll find this helpful, and just think of yourself shooting to the moon here and basically becoming consistently profitable traders by finding the very highest probability trade setups and that we just look for. So have a great day, everybody, and we'll see everybody in the room.